and professional live stream number 50. I'm just getting the height of this a bit better. Unfortunately, I can't change the angle that this faces at, but I can change the height of it. So we've come to the end of the year. I actually finished filming reviews yesterday. I did two. The Mitsubishi Outlander PHEV that you would have seen on the community page, and also another car that I will be discussing with some people later. So just getting the live to actually come up on my other account, which means I can follow along with it here. We can have a good look at the comments section at the same time as doing this, which is always beneficial. Let me just put that on mute so that it actually doesn't interfere with what we're doing. Paulie Galtieri says, good evening. Good evening to you, sir. Mark from Bad Book says, good evening. Good evening to you, sir. What we're going to be trying to discuss this evening is your favourite reviews from 2023. They have to be videos that have been released in 2023. If you want to, you can pick some from the list of the videos that I did just before Christmas. I mentioned, I think, 11 of them then. But I've looked at the playlist today, and we have something like, actually, I can tell you, can't I? Because I have the information in front of me. I think it's over 150 episodes of sensible second-hand reviews and classics now, because they're on the same playlist. No budget reviews, like 180, I think, or something. There's an awful lot now. It's mad, absolute madness. And of course, Three Jacket reviews, there's quite a few of them there as well. Contingency reviews, there's quite a few of them. Here we go. No budget reviews, 194. Sensible second-hand reviews and classics, 164. The thing is that I've actually got 20 reviews that have been filmed and edited and ready to go out that I still haven't released this year, which is not bad. I'm intending to try to keep ahead like that, because it means if I ever need to take a break or something like that from filming reviews, then I can, which is good. So we shall have a look now at some of the comments that are flooding in. Right, here we go. John Pretty says multitasking. Yes, multitasking is not my strongest suit, I'm afraid. Lord Stiff Upper Lip says, I was just halfway through the Landcrab video. That was filmed in October 2022, and the weird thing about that is sometimes you find that reviews don't do anything for a long time, and then they suddenly come from nowhere. I've had quite a few like that. I think even like the Honda Jazz on No Budget Reviews, the 2007 Honda Jazz, that is now the most popular review ever on the channel. I think it's had 35,000 views. That didn't do very well at the time, which is sort of interesting. The Land Crab, it did okay when it came out last year, but for some reason it's been not successful the last few months. Morris Marina as well, but I filmed in January, wasn't that successful when I released it, and now has suddenly come from nowhere. So I don't really understand how it all works. Bash the Bishop, good evening to you, sir, says good evening. Good evening. Mr. Coleman, whom I saw actually earlier on today, says good morning. I think Mr. Coleman is being funny. He does know what time of day it is. Good evening, Mr. Coleman. Paulie Galtieri says Viosten Montega van den Pla. Viosten Montega van den Pla was actually, it's not a review, that's a walk around, and it was released in 2022. So I'm afraid that that one doesn't count, sir. Mark from Bad Book says good afternoon to Mr. Coleman. Again, the incorrect time of day, but it doesn't matter. Richard Hallett says good evening. Good evening to you, sir. So yes, a lot to choose from even from this year. I think my record in a day of filming reviews, I think is 8. I think I did that in September. I filmed 8 in a day, which is probably not what you should do all the time, but I know it's possible, even if it's stressful. So please do, in the chat section, say what your favourite review from 2023 was. So we're only looking for reviews, not shambolic shuffles, although I'll tell you how many of those there are. There are a lot of shambolic shuffles. 445 shambolic shuffle videos as of today, and there will be some more tomorrow. So I know all of you very much appreciate that. Very much. Yeah, Slightly Shambolic SMT Reviews itself, that has 23 videos on the playlist now. So yes, I know what my favourite one of the year was, or one of my favourite ones. I don't think any one of you is going to guess this at all. I don't think. Oh, Paulie has asked, which car did I personally enjoy reviewing? I'm not going to tell you actually what my favourite one is at the moment. I'm going to have to ask some of you to guess. I don't think you're going to actually get what some of my favourites were. I'm not really sure that that any of you are going to. There's 3 in particular that I know that I enjoyed more than a lot of the others. The thing is, one of them's not been released because we haven't got to 10,000 subscribers yet. 10,000 subscribers special. That's not been released yet. I've still got some way to go before I get there. So when I get there, then you will see it. But at the moment, I cannot discuss that one. The other 2, though, I don't think you're really going to be able to guess them. I don't think you will. But by all means, try. But I don't think you're going to guess them. Mr. Coleman says a certain blue Volvo. Now, the thing is that Mr. Coleman's 940 Turbo is a really, really nice car. I think I'm a bit sport though, because I've driven so many 940s. I've driven Mr. Coleman's old 960 that I think that car is really, really nice. But I've driven other similar Volvos before, so yeah, I'm afraid it's a really nice 940, but not that one. The Allegro 1500 Super Estate, Paulie Garcheri says that. Mark from Bad Book says that. Bash the Bishop says that. Matt Likes Prog Rock says hello all. I'm afraid I quite enjoyed that car. I think I actually prefer the one that Alex Max Assets has, which actually was in the back of the video. I drove that car in 2021. Even though the E-Series Allegro has more power and a 5-speed gearbox. I mean, yeah, it was enjoyable, but that's not in the top 3. I don't think you're going to get any of this, are you lot? You're just not going to. It's yeah, that was good, but there were so many others actually. Other than that, Mr. Coleman says the Mark 1 Granada GXL I did for the 5-year channel anniversary. Yeah, I'd say that's one of them. I think that's probably in the top 5 of the ones that I've done. Yeah, certainly. Yeah, that's one of my favourite cars. Lord Silverlip says the episode of Sensible Secondhand Classics, I imagine what you're talking about, Caliper's suggested videos. What's happened recently is that YouTube's done a very, very good job of recommending certain videos to people. And I think that stuff like the Land Crab and the Marina at the moment, one of the surprises of this year was the 1972 Vauxhall Viva that I filmed back in January. That video's done really, really well, and it's still not quite certain to me how that happened. Paulie Garcia says, Hino Stella. Hino Stella was a real privilege, but the steering was so heavy in that. It wasn't as easy to drive actually as a Cortina, which is another car I haven't released yet, but I did film that back in October. So, yeah, someone else has has suggested, where was it? Back here somewhere. The Vauxhall Zafira, I think it is. I mean, the Vauxhall Zafira was kind of funny. I mean, I've always found the Flex 7 seating in a Zafira to be nowhere near as easy to use as it should be. It really, really is a bit of a faff, and maybe I'm sort of making a bit more of a deal of it than I should be. But I don't know why that is so difficult to use. It just is. I'm sure to get used to it, but it's a right faff using that system on one of those Zafira Bs. So I'm pleased, John Pretty, that you found that video to be useful. I actually gained 4 subscribers from that video. That video's done better on the channel than the Christmas special, which tells you all, you know, what the sort of thing that people tend to prefer is. Richard Howlett, sir, you have something of an expert touch. The Galant is definitely in the top 3. I can't decide with that and 2 others what the most sort of privilege was to film, because I know what the top 5 is. Certainly the Granada Mark 1 is in there because I wanted to drive one of those for a really long time. The Galant, yes, it's very, very near the top, actually. Very near the top. The Galant is not a video that was that popular. I drove a long way to film that video. I did very back in a day, and no one has reviewed one of these, as far as I know, on YouTube in this country for years. I don't think in the sort of modern times of last maybe 10, 15 years, anyone over here has reviewed one. Not that I've seen, and so I was kind of doing it sort of on my own. And the example that I drove is as close to a brand new 1990 Galant as you ever going to see. It was the one from the Festival Beyond Exceptional, owned by a chap called Philip, and the video really doesn't do particularly justice to the car at all. Like, I did it on a really, really difficult day in terms of the sort of filming. The only place I could find to film it, the lighting wasn't very good, the noise wasn't very good, the thumbnail doesn't look great really, but it was just such a privilege to drive it. I really enjoyed that car, even though the steering was way too light in it. It was like a kind of a more modern car really, because it had the electric hydraulic power steering in it, which came with a diamond option pack on it, and it's such a nice car. I mean, like, you know, if you had one of those in 1990, you've been doing quite well. That thing even had cruise control in it. It was absolutely amazing. Weirdly, no aircon, but everything else was in that. So yeah, the Galant was, I think, one of the top 3 for certain. The other 2, one's for 10,000 subscriber special, and the other one, I don't know if any of you will actually get this. It's not a car, but I think is on the sort of radar for a lot of people. But it's done quite well on the channel. I looked at the figures the other day, and it has. It's something I filmed actually back in January, but that's not really going to make much of a clue either. I don't think anyone's going to get that. So Mr. Coleman says he's still full of the mixed grill. Yes, Mr. Coleman and I and a couple of us went to the Harvester today, and I had a mixed grill, and he had the ultimate mixed grill. And the ultimate mixed grill is just too much for it's just too much for one person, I think. Even someone, Mr. Coleman, who does have a healthy appetite, having worked very hard most days of the year. Which I actually like the Stella video. Stella again, it's a car I've been wanting to get hold of for quite a long time for the channel, and it just happens that one of my friends owns one. It's quite rare that I actually get to pick like this. Usually I just get unsolicited people just offer me stuff, but I was able to ask my friend, and he said, yeah, you can film the Stella, and so I did. So I think, again, apart from me and Seabrook, I'm one of the only people, maybe the last 10 years, to film with Stella for YouTube in this country. There are so few of them left that, yeah, like Ian Seabrook's video, it's a really old Hubnut video, and that one, and we're the only ones, I think. And they're not even the same cars that appear in the same video either. Paulie Galtieri says the Rover 75 2.5 V6 Connoisseur Tourer. That's a nice car, but I don't know. When Mr. Coleman and I were with Mr. Bill and Mr. Partridge today at the Harvester, we were discussing Rover 75s, and I just don't want one. I've driven quite a few of them. It's a nice car, that particular one. It's really nice, but they just have so many problems. I know Mr. Richardson's had a few problems with his one, and it just can rust really badly. Mr. Partridge, who actually had a car in the second ever episode of No Budget Reviews 4 years ago this month, his MG ZTT 190 that he has, a 190 plus, that one. He's having to put a new engine in it, and it needs repairs on the cells, it needs new suspension. Like, there's so many problems you can get with a ZT and a 75, and I just prefer the way, like, the Honda-based cars drive, like the sort of 45 and the ZS. I prefer the size. They've got problems of their own, but they're very different problems mainly, unless you are looking at the engines, which are sort of shared between them. I just prefer the Honda-based ones personally, and I've had one of those for years. So that's the second 45 I had too. A lot of people don't know that I had a previous one years ago. So I just don't. It's just not my favourites really. There's so many other cars that I prefer. Even the Rovers, there's loads of other cars I prefer to a 75. But I've driven tons of ZTs and 75s over the course of a long time. So yeah, that's it. Lord Civilux says he liked the Suzuki Baleno video. Which Baleno was that? Was that the one from the 90s, or was that the 2019 Baleno? I've done two this year. Bash to Bishop says, I remember in my Zafira the A-pillar wiring tended to break, resulting in central locking failure. Oh, lovely. Oh, that's brilliant. Yeah, wiring looms. Brilliant. Paulie Galtieri asked Mr. Coleman if he's having the ultimate mixed grill. Yes, it was the ultimate mixed grill, and it defeated him. Mark from Bad Book says the Toyota Carina 2. Yeah, Toyota Carina 2, again, it's like a Stella. It's that sort of era of car. They're really, really, really rare. Like, stupidly rare. And I don't think I'll ever get to drive another Carina 2 of that generation. But the one of the next generation, I have driven one. I drove one in 2021. And, you know, that was also a good car. They're actually better to drive than the sort of square-shaped ones. Yeah, so there we go. Yeah, pretty to drive that. It just wasn't. I don't think it was like one of my favourites. It was just really nice to drive that. I think that I like the Galant so much. It's a really rare car, but I'm just more into the kind of slightly later stuff, like really late 80s, starting around sort of maybe 89 with stuff like the Rover R8s and things like that came out in 89, and then all the way through the 90s. But some of the stuff from the sort of mid-80s is good. I mean, I love Montegos. I think Montegos are brilliant. I'm hoping next year to actually drive a Montego Vanden Plas. The car that was on the channel in 2022, I didn't drive it because the owner was a bit unsure about the insurance on it, which is fine because that car's a concourse one. So I just did a walk around of it. But someone else I know has got another one. It's actually got a light interior in it. I won't spoil the surprise for you. But he says I can drive that one that goes back on the road next summer. So that'll be probably one of my favourite cars I've ever driven, probably. Montegos are really, really nice to drive in 2-litre form. They're ever so nice. Like they're far better than you can imagine. I imagine like a Montego Turbo is like one of the ultimate 80s saloon cars, actually. But I'm more of a sort of Vanden Plas person myself. Paulie Galtieri says he went to the Horses Hole in Burton-on-Trent over Christmas. Right, I don't know where that is. Richard Howlett liked the Daihatsu Sport Track Christmas special. Yeah, that was something really, really different. I like to do things on the Christmas special that are completely different from usual. That's why last year we did the Porsche 911. That was completely different. I'd never driven a Porsche before I think, ever actually. Never driven one before. The Air also a 924 drove out the same day. So yeah, that actually 911 video that didn't do very well. That is an example of the quality of stuff that Mr. Franks actually is able to do. And Mr. Franks really co-founded the channel with me. You know, I wouldn't have got any traction at all if he hadn't been my videographer for me. And actually, we are planning on doing some more Tweed Jacket reviews soon. We didn't do any this year whatsoever. But we'll be returning to that because I've been offered a vast collection of lovely cars to film, and the majority of them will not fit into any other format. Yeah, they won't fit any other format. They need to be on Tweed Jacket reviews because I think that is the only way we can properly showcase the cars and show how nice they are. So that's what we're going to do. I don't know who will be doing the reviews yet for me. I have spoken to a couple of people about it. I don't know who's going to be filming them, but that's what we plan to do. And there's some really, really lovely cars in that collection. Really, really nice. Mark from Bad Book said the Saab soft top. Didn't film a Saab soft top this year. I filmed a 9.3 in September 2022 when I filmed the Morris Minor, same day. Can't believe how cheap most still are. You can still buy them no budget views money. I do quite like Saabs. I drove the 9000 Carlson this year and also 900 Saloon. 900 Saloon was a bit of a pain in a way because the pedals are really, really badly spaced in the manual models. Automatic's probably different, but the manual one, I didn't get on with that very well. Much more of a sort of Volvo person in some ways. I mean, I own 3 of them, so there we go. Paulie Galtieri says, more of a Rover Sterling coupe man than a Rover 75. Yes, sir, that is absolutely it. Adam says, hello, sir. How are you this wet and windy evening? Yes, okay, thank you. I should probably turn another light on, so it's a bit dark in here. Lovely to open up YouTube and see you having a live stream. Yes, I did advertise it on my community page, but you know, here we are. Lord Stuff Up says you like the 90s Baleno. 90s Baleno, it was a bit of a frustrating video. It's a little bit like the Galant. Both those cars were in the concourse section Festival on Exceptional, and I got offered both of them. You know, amazing condition, but neither of them did particularly well on the channel. I don't know why. The Baleno was hilarious to drive. Like, it was so kind of soft in every description. You know, it was sort of fun. And it's amazing to actually drive one, but they weren't all sports cars. Like the suspension lean on that was crazy. I enjoyed driving that. I expected again that to do better, but it just hasn't for some reason. Again, it's not a car I don't think I've seen reviewed by anyone else in the sort of sphere of people that I know at all. And the people who actually provided that car for Festival Exceptional were really keen for me to film it, and I was happened to be in Chelmsford where it was based at the time, and I went down to film it, and I really enjoyed it. But for some reason, didn't get any traction. The Galant for me is a bit of a nicer car than a Baleno, but then it cost a lot more money, didn't it? Lord Siffer Lip says, I liked the Yugo video. Yeah, I mean, that was a bit hilarious. I thought I was going to die at one point, but never mind. Adam says, I need to upgrade my Fiat Panda, which is almost on 100,000 miles. I'm open, budget of £5,000, open to forbidden fuel. And quite correctly, he says, we cannot discuss it on this channel. We indeed cannot discuss forbidden fuel because we don't talk about diesels on this channel. Polygato says, what does Horseshoe Pub, which was in Burton-on-Trent. Bad Book says, I saw a mint saloon car racing Montego in silver with green graphics on a car trailer on the A17 just the other day. Sir, that makes me feel very, very happy. Adam says, a mining use is 4.5 miles to work, once or twice a month, which is on the motorway. Any sensible budget recommendations? The thing is that you need to email me if you really want me to do the work for you, because I don't know what's in your area. Like a lot of this, I did a job the other day, and so much of this is dependent on what's in your area. It's so pointless going like 100 miles to buy just a normal kind of second-hand car, because you might go all the way there and end up being disappointed. The most sensible thing to do is actually look within your area. And I always work within a very small area when I do jobs for clients, and it just depends what's sort of there, because there are so many things that might be, with that sort of budget. There are loads of things. It will depend on what's in your area, and you know what my email address is, don't you, by now? Oh yes, my sister wished me happy birthday. We're actually twins, my sister and I. So I've already done that. I need to speak to her actually after this live stream. Richard Howlett says he enjoyed the 700 Saloon. Yeah, I kind of did, because I've always wanted to try one of those, and it was not really the spec I want. It was the spec the ENC would probably want, which is a base model 4-speed saloon with velour interior. I really wanted like a sort of really nice upscale one with probably the injected engine and a beige leather interior and automatic. But I'm very open to one of those in the future. But sometimes you just got to go for what you can get. It just depends what get offered. Kevin Howlett says, "Good evening. Joined the live stream. I enjoyed the video of Mr. Hunter." Yeah, the track day was something very, very unusual. I haven't done a track experience on a channel for 5 years, and this was a bit different. I don't know if I will be doing one of those again too soon, because although the video did really, really well, like, it was a very, very expensive thing to do. It was really expensive, and I was very privileged to be offered the car to use actually, and nothing happened to any of the cars in terms of damage, which was great. But it's just one of these things, like, if I'd had to buy the car myself to take and all this sort of thing, it would have been even more expensive. So although it was a very, very sort of formative experience, it wasn't necessarily the nicest experience to me, because it was a bit traumatic actually. Yeah, a lot of people seem to enjoy it. So I'm not ruling out doing another one of those at some point in the future, but it probably won't be for quite a long time. Mark from Bad Book says, recently I saw a silver R8 Goodwood hatch. They didn't do a Goodwood edition of the R8. You mean the 309 Goodwood, sir? Is that what you mean? Some of the 203 doors did have that kind of spoiler you're talking about, actually. The double rear spoiler, they did have some of those. Things like the 220 GTI and things like that, I think, had that. Adam seems to be very happy, sort of crying his eyes out about something. I'm not quite sure. Paulie Gato says, we don't talk about diesels or Shane Ritchie or the New Professionals. No, we don't talk about Shane Ritchie or Fit and Fuel or the New Professionals. We didn't talk about any of those. Lord Philip says, I'd love to film a Suzuki X90. I'd probably like to do one of those, actually. But they're out there. I see them at shows, but again, it's like a Galant or a Baleno. Like, I'd have to be offered one. It's just one of these things. Like, people tell me all these things I want to see, and generally in January I do a list of kind of particular cars I'd like to get. I don't even know actually if I've had many cars crossed off the list. I mean, what I will do next month is do a very vague vlog, and we'll literally just go through cars that I've wanted to film on the channel and see if we've actually achieved any of it. I don't know if we will. Maybe we will, and then I'll say, what else I'd like to film for the year. People just make massive assumptions about what I do or don't want to film, I think, a lot of the time, and they don't offer me certain things. I remember a gentleman who offered me the Fiat Brava that I filmed, the Blue Brava, and he assumed I wouldn't be interested in his Volkswagen Scirocco, which I really was. Actually, I thought the Scirocco was a really interesting car, but he just didn't offer it to me initially because of that. I've had so many people just assume that I won't film certain things. I'm not talking about ones with the wrong engine. I'm talking about other stuff. Matt Likes Prog Rock says, I'm quite partial to a Montego. I'm very partial, sir. We do like the Vanden Plas. They are the ultimate Montego. Polygon 2 says you couldn't get leather interior on the Montego Vanden Plas estate. That, I think, might be a myth. I'll have to double check that information. Yeah, I'll have to double check that. I'm not actually 100% sure about that. I have heard that as well, but there is a very good site that I use for information like that, and I'll have to look that up and tell you. Mark from Bad Book says he saw a J Red Rover 200 dealer special. Yeah, it could have been a dealer special actually. The 200 Goodwoods. Richard Howlett enjoyed the Mercedes. I think it was. Ooh, let's get this right. I think it was still called a 220 CE at that stage. It was a 93, which is before the changeover year. So certain things were done. It was just before the facelift to make called the E-Class rather than just the 124 series. Is actually how they were known. Even at Mercedes dealerships back in the day, they were known as like the 300 series or whatever. They weren't known by the names we know them today. So let's just check. I think it was a 220 CE the one I drove. I'm pretty sure that it was, but nowadays we just call them the the C124s or whatever. That's right, yeah, 220 CE. The chap who owned that, I drove right to the far end of Kent to drive it. Lovely, lovely chap who owned that. Ever such a nice man. He was very, very keen for me to go and film it, and so I did. And I combined that with going to film the Saab 900, and then the Fiat Idea, and then afterwards I did Mr. Richardson's social event. It was back in March. I did all those cars on the same trip because it was a lot more efficient to do it that way. Which outlet says Montegos were good-looking cars. I think the estates in particular sort of were really nice. Has anyone else got any sort of favourite reviews that they did? I'm going to look up the information about the Montego Vanden Plas estate whilst you tell me what your favourite reviews from this year is. The number 2 spot, I think the Galant's probably number 1. The number 2 spot, no one has got. I don't think any of you will get it. Actually, I just don't think you'll get it. One thing I will say is that a lot of the episodes of Sensible Secondhand Reviews that a lot of you say is really boring. You don't want to watch them. I've actually had quite a lot of views from that. Stuff like the Mini Cooper that I filmed, the 2015 Mini Cooper. That's had a respectable number of views, and the Renault Capture that I did, that almost went into the top 5. It's pretty crazy. Right, let's take a look at this, and we will see. Yeah, I got on the site with information here. It's not giving me information this at all. That's annoying. No, it's not giving me the information that I wanted. Still none the wiser, sir, about that. Okay, well, we'll have to get back to the chat section here. Matt says the Vauxhall Chevette Saloon. The Chevette and the Viva were quite similar to drive. They have the same engine and gearbox in them. They're not very nice to drive, actually, the Chevettes. The Chevette HSR I did in 2022 was very different. The only thing that's really in common with a Chevette HSR and a normal Chevette 3-door is the body shell. The suspension's completely different, the axles are completely different, the interior is very different, the engine's got nothing to do with it, and even it's got sort of a flared body kit on it. So normal Chevettes they're not very nice to drive, really. They're a bit like a Series 3 Land Rover where the gears are kind of not where you expect them to be. So I wouldn't say that is kind of like a favourite of mine particularly. Comes with the Toyota Paseo. Yeah, Paseo is a brilliant car, but I filmed that I think in 2022 actually. I filmed that one. I was really surprised by that. I was offered it a very, very short notice. Really short notice, that Paseo, and it turned out to be a really nice car. It's a very nice car to drive actually, and I was surprised how good that was. Polio says the Nissan Primera video, that was the turquoise P10 Primera, the Primera Precision. Yeah, those are really nice drive, particularly with the 1.6 J16 engine in them. They're really nice. I think the Sunnies, personally, I prefer even to the Primeras. I just like the size of the Sunny a bit more, but they are good. Simone, let's just happy birthday. Thank you very much. Yes, it actually is my birthday today. Lord Stuff Over Lip says the XJS V12. The problem with that is that by the time I came to drive it as the last car out of all of them I drove at Great British Car Journey, the order you saw the videos in is not the order that I drove them in. It was actually back to front in many ways, because I drove the Cavalier first and that video was released last. The Granada was in the middle somewhere, and that's the one I think I put up first. But yeah, the order that you saw them in is totally different. Often it is. The order that I'm releasing the videos in the moment is completely jumbled up. The Passat was filmed in September, the Micra was filmed in October, and the Daihatsu, that was filmed on the 20th. It was filmed about 10 days ago. So the order's not the same as I put them out. It really isn't. It just, I have to sort of balance, a few things. So the XJS, by the time I came to film it, I had no time left. I was sort of told that you've really run out of time, which is not a surprise. That was the 6th review of the day, and I just about managed to get enough time to film it, so I did it in a massive rush, and I found it really cramped in there. I really want to drive a 6-cylinder coupe XJS with just a bit more time. I just had no time to do that video. It's a shame, but there we go. John Pretty says the Bentley Mulsanne Turbo. The Bentley I drove was actually a Bentley 8. It was a base model Bentley. Very nice. I really enjoyed driving that, actually. It wasn't slow exactly, but the Mulsanne Turbo is a bit faster. Matt Likes Prog says the Volvo 850 Estate. Yep. 2-litre 10 valve. Very slow. Really, really slow. Too slow, really. Kevin Russell, are you going to play classic car shows on New Year's Day? I'm going out with the Test Valley Motor Enthusiasts, who's a club that I'm part of, and they do a New Year's Day run every 1st of January, and that's what my lady wife and I will be doing. Although tomorrow we'll be going back and having another exciting time in Locks Heath. The Boxing Day videos, which have done quite well, they're actually having another event tomorrow, and Mr. Bill and I are going to go and be there. I'm not sure if Mr. Bill will be filming tomorrow or not. I'm not sure. I certainly will be. I don't know if the weather will be quite as good. The weather on Boxing Day was actually superb for filming. It was some of the best weather I've ever sort of filmed in terms of the light not being too bad. If it's really sunny, the light can be terrible. It shows it can be awful. There's not much you can do about it. Whereas when it was a bit overcast, it was dry, the weather was actually really good for doing what I needed to do, which is strange. People say, you need videos on a sunny day all the time. Well, actually, that can be a real problem. You can get too much light, sounds a bit strange, but that's just the way that it goes. Right, anyone else want to hazard a guess as to what these two videos in the top 5 that I haven't actually said actually are? Because there's one very obvious one I think a lot of you probably have seen, but you haven't placed it in there. The other one, I don't know if anyone's going to get this. Mark from Badbook says, my aunt worked in a Birmingham paint factory in the early 1980s. Longbridge electro undercoating bars eventually turned to jelly. She calculated chemical quantified to liquefied again. Right, electro undercoating. So, Matt likes the white Volkswagen Scirocco. Yeah, I quite enjoyed that actually. That had a nice kind of biscuit interior. Mark from Bad Books, the Rover 216 automatic. No. Just Howler. This is good. Yeah, the red Peugeot 408 MO16. That's just a walk around. It's not a full review, but yeah, I know where you're going with that. The 406 V6. Yeah, 406 V6 was really good. If it had a beige leather interior in it, that possibly might have been the best review of the year, from my point of view. That's again, it's one of those ones that sort of really picked up recently, and let's just see about the 406 V6 of that's actually had a good number of views now, because sometimes they don't do anything and they pick up. Hopefully the Passat will pick up, because for whatever reason that Passat has full of fallen through the floor. People keep telling me, oh, we only want to see no budget reviews. Oh, anything else, we don't want to see those. And then when I put out an episode of no budget reviews like the Passat, you don't want to watch it. So as I said in the video when I talked about the top 5 most popular videos and the bottom 5 videos of the year, it's not the case at all that no budget reviews always does the best. It's not. This one's done this hasn't done too bad anyway. It was released on 4th of May. Made a 4th be with you, and it's had 3,100 reviews. Paulie Galtieri says Viscona Superb from 2020. I think I filmed that. Afraid so, we can't discuss that video anymore. Mark from Bad Book says the Metro was electro undercoated. Okay. Yeah, it's a bit different from certain cars that don't have any underseal at all. I don't think the Alpha 90 had any of that. That smoothie's very nice, by the way. John Pretty. I'm a newcomer. Well, thank you very much for joining us, sir. But did it have a beige leather interior and a bit of real wood in the interior? You know what? Yes, one of them. We're talking sort of the top 5. Yeah. So we like sort of number 1 is the Galant. Number 3 is the 10,000 subscriber special that I can't release it yet, so we can't really talk about it. Number 4 was probably the Mark 1 Granada, and then number 5. So we're missing kind of 2 and 5 here. But yeah, number 5, yes, absolutely, beige leather interior and wood. Paulie says a beige leather interior with wood and the appurtenance of gracious living. Yes, if you can describe a car as the appurtenance of gracious living, then we do like it. Karen Hallett said, Simon from Not 76 Cars drove my E320 with wood and beige leather interior. I did not see that, actually. I always miss videos on Simon's channel. One of the best videos Simon ever did, I'm not sure if any of you watched this, was about the Nissan Almera and this massive marketing misstep that happened with it. Like, that's one of the best videos on YouTube I've ever seen. Like, he's really good at making that kind of video. I would really prefer someone to make more of stuff like that. Matt likes Prod Rock. The Daimler. Yes, that's about number sort of 5 would be the Daimler V8 that I did at Great British Cardio, a long wheelbase one. That was in terrible weather. Like, the day was sort of varied all the way through in terms of the weather. All the way through. Yeah, the Daimler was probably number 5. That was an extraordinary car. I kind of wanted to keep that one, but I can't, unfortunately. I've got nowhere to put that. Lord Stiff Upper Lip says Marina. Yeah, Marina was as interesting. I mean, like, Marina's just not as bad a car as kind of a lot of people would suggest who've never tried one. They're actually kind of not that bad. Kind of if you actually try one, the one I drove was pretty good. I mean, the Vauxhall Viva HC is so much worse a car than the Marina, and I think they've sort of competed really, the Viva HCs and the Marinas, I would say. Kevin says, I mentioned the video, so I'll have a look at Simon's video of the Mercedes C124. Can I get hold of the XJ40 Mr. Richardson's review? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know a gentleman who actually supplied that for Mr. Richardson. Um, which, like I said, I couldn't believe the Audi A2 was no budget release money. Yeah, it is. Like the owner of that, he's someone who's quite big in the MG Rover scene. It's called Jake. Actually, it's Lady Wife's car, and that car was actually a festival exception. That very car, and I asked them there if I could have a go in it, and actually about a month later I did. And yeah, at the moment they are. I mean, because the aluminium repairs are so complicated on that car, and they cost, almost like a loss at every single one they made. You would have thought that actually they would be a bit more expensive than they are, but they're not, because if you have any problems with the bodywork, it's not going to rust or anything, but you have problems with the bodywork, they'll just write the car off. They won't even try to fix it because they're so difficult. But yeah, you can pick them up pretty cheaply. Ones like that. This is a good question from Simone from on Classics. Which car would be a good receipt of wood and a beige leather interior but never had one in the first place? I can tell you exactly which one would be. It'd be the car that's at the number sort of 2 spot on the chart, which I don't think anyone's going to get. I just don't think you will. I'm not sure, because it's just not something I don't think any of you are actually thinking about at all. We've got about 15 minutes left, and if nobody guesses it, I will tell you, but I don't think any of you will guess this at all. The Galat was very hard. I'm quite surprised that actually one of you got that. Lord Tillet says the Chrysler Avenger, 79 Chrysler Avenger. Yeah, I enjoyed that. But the thing that ruined it for me was the gear change. It was it wasn't as easy to use as I thought it would be. Like, the Avenger's a fantastic car. It's better than a Marina for certain, much better. Considering that came out a year before, it's just so much more modern feeling car than a Marina. Because they developed the car from completely new from the ground up. New engines, new chassis, everything. Yeah. We've got some guesses here now. So, the Dawn Avenger, probably gives us a clue. Not yet, sir. Matlock's products. Lexus IS 250. Yeah, I mean, that was pretty good. That's a really nice car. I was quite surprised. That'd be like number 6 or 7, actually. There's a couple of cars here that I haven't actually ever filmed. Austin Ambassador. I'd love to film one of those, but never have. Fiat X19. I'd love to try Fiat X19, but I haven't. It won't be. I don't think you're way off, actually. Any of you, you're sort of way off. You're going to have to sort of look at a lot of the stuff that some of you just aren't interested in. I think that to actually get anywhere near what it is, you're going to have to think completely sort of away from the stuff that you think. Simone says a Renault 4. I haven't ever filmed a Renault 4. It's something that I've done on the channel. I did it this year. A lot of you won't have even probably noticed I filmed it, to be honest. So yeah, you can guess it. Which is how Monbuck's Hillman Imp. No. Charlotte Bentley 8. No. I didn't really enjoy driving a Hillman Imp very much. I didn't enjoy that so much. Problem with that Hillman Imp is, since Steph, my driver classic, had a go in that, everyone who goes to that museum wants to drive that car, and so many people have driven it. But actually, it's in a state where they're going to have to do a full restoration on it at some point, I think. Yeah. Lord of Blitz says the Mark 1 car. That was interesting. No, unfortunately not. It's good. I'm glad I actually got to drive an early one. Martin Bad Books, the Vectra V6. Yeah, that video was released in January 23, wasn't it? That was actually filmed on New Year's Eve 2022, but it was released in January 2023. Yeah. Vulgartieri, the Austin 2200 Princess Vanden Plar prototype was gorgeous. The ultimate luxurious interior, it didn't make it to production. Yeah, that's a shame. Martin from Grand Theft Autos of Livestream. Oh, good evening, Martin. How are you? The Jeep Cherokee. Yeah, the Jeep Cherokee, I filmed that in 2022. We're only talking about 2023 videos, I'm afraid. Yeah, I have a Jeep coming up, but it's a Jeep Renegade. That will probably go up maybe next week or something. I was in two minds of what video to put up today: the Nissan Micra or the Jeep Renegade. I've heard the Jeep Renegades are not very kind of well loved. Yeah, if you want a really good video on a Princess, by the way, look at Martin's video on Grand Theft Auto, or even the video that he did on the Macho Rancho. Again, a Macho Rancho is right on my list of cars I want to film. But I think the likelihood of me filming one soon is quite low. There's not many left, and ones that are left, they're not on the road at the moment. Fantastic cars though. I had a model Macho Rancho when I was a small child, yeah. Matt likes Pros Rock. Was Rojo Daihatsu Sirion 1.5? No. It's a 1 litre Sirion on my channel. Yeah, that was filmed in April this year. That's been a rather successful video as well, that one for some reason. I don't quite know why. Kevin Hallett, the Dyno Dad. Dyno Dad took the Volvo S40, so, I mean, I own that car, so it's a bit different from ones I don't own. Paulie Gaccieri, the Vauxhall Carlton Diplomat. Yes, sir, we would like one of those. Maybe a GSI 3000, I don't know. Mark from Bad Books, the MG6. Yeah, the MG6 twin test was filmed on the same day as the most popular video on the channel of all from 2023. The 2022 Renault Capture. Yes, 13,000 views. The most popular review of the year. No, the MG6. The thing is, I've driven several of those. The first one I drove of those was in 2015. So no, the manual gearboxes on the MG6 are really horrible actually, and so is the clutch. It's not an easy car to drive. The automatic MG6 that I drove, it was a conversion in 2020. That was a lot better because the gearbox just isn't very nice. It's just not nice in those, and that's what puts me off really. Also, the key is the nastiest, cheapest key in the world in an MG6. They're horrible. So Anhydride Classic says beige leather in the Chevette would look nice. It would do, but you should really sort out things like give it a nicer gearbox and a better engine, and you know, some proper ergonomics and things like that. The Mark 1 Astra I drove in December 2021 was a fantastic car. Like, I can't tell you how different a Mark 1 Astra is from a Chevette. Like, they're worlds apart. It's absolutely amazing. Lotte says the Rover Streetwise. I'm not that fond actually of driving, you know, ZRs and 25s and R3200s and Streetwise and things like that. I find the clutches on them not particularly nice. I don't find them very comfortable cars. But yeah, I drove a Streetwise in Sheffield. That was filmed, I think, 1st of May. That one was filmed, from what I remember. Yeah, I've driven a Streetwise. It's sort of like driving a Rover 25. It's not surprising. Putting out series says, which MG looks like a modern Vice van. That is the MG Express, the 160 that I filmed at a Great British Car Journey back in September. Mark from Bad Books, the BMW 118 soft top. Yeah, I filmed that back in January. That was a surprisingly good car to drive, actually. Surprisingly good car to drive. Yeah, I mean that was a bit my surprise. I filmed that in a very wet and rainy car park, the same wet and rainy car park where I was yesterday filming another car from the same person. He always provides him at least one car a year, does he? That's completely different from that one. Yeah, you know, was it a nice car to drive that, but no. Russell Cooper says, I'm not interested about cars built in the 1990s. The thing is I've just said this, like, a lot of people kind of sort of say what they think are the most popular cars on the channel, and sometimes that's not correct, if that makes sense. I do film a lot of older cars now. I filmed tons of them, like a lot more than I used to. And actually, they do sort of okay, but it's very strange with a channel is that I get quite a broad spread of interest. Like, you know, in Seabrook, if he filmed stuff from 2023, he wouldn't really get many views. Whereas I film some of his brand new cars. The Dacia Jogger I did in June, that's had almost 10,000 views. So I like to have a nice sort of different spread of stuff, really, because I have an interest in all sort of areas of cars. But some people are interested in old cars, some people are interested in new cars. It just doesn't really matter, you know. I will do both, and you're not interested in watching the videos, then don't watch them. Just don't watch them. I'm not bothered about that. Do whatever you like. Andrew Thompson says Chevette Virtus Viva HC. The Chevette's a bit more sophisticated. I mean, it's got like disc brakes and they're servo assisted. The HC Viva had all-round drums with no servo assistance. Fortunately, it had an all-synchro mesh gearbox in it. Some of the cars I've driven in the past have had no synchro mesh on first. I'm not very fond of driving cars with no synchro mesh on first. I just don't. I'm not so fond of that sort of stuff. Bad Book says a Volvo C70. I have driven a C70 this year, but the video's actually not come out yet. So you can't include that one yet. Also, the EK9 Civic. Yeah, yeah, it's good. I've driven I've driven that a few times actually. That Civic, it belongs to Mr. Quirk from Planet Auto. Yeah, it's a good car to drive. That's not the one I'm thinking of though. Mark from Bad Books says variety is a spice of life. It certainly is. Which is like the Alpha 159 Sport Wagon. Yeah, but that's very close. Very, very close. I mean, it had a beige leather interior in it. I don't know what it was. It wasn't quite, the steering wasn't quite as nice as I was expecting in that. Duncan Letts says just purchased. This would be a oh gosh, this is a P1 or a P2 V70 that he's purchased, a 2.4 on a W plate. That could either be the P1 or the P2 V70. Very nice to drive. Yeah, they are. The 2.4 turbo is a good engine, actually. That. Mark Prasad, how on earth have you worked this out, sir? The Mazda 3 2-litre SkyActiv Jeep Sport Nav. Yes, that's it. Number 2. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that was a really, really nice car to drive. I was really impressed with that car. Ever so impressed. In some ways, I sort of thought, well, if I wanted just like a sensible car now, I didn't have the Volvo S40, that's probably the sort of thing I'd buy for myself. And I'm not joking, I'd probably buy the saloon rather than the hatch. But yeah, that's it. Well done. You've guessed all apart from the third one, which of course is in the 10,000 subscriber special. But if I check my statistics right now, I can see we've still got some way to go before we actually get there. Yeah, I'm afraid we have 177 subscribers to go before you can see that video, so you won't know until that happens. Lord Suffolk Lips says, I'd like to put a 2-litre in a Chevette. Well, they kind of did. I mean, the Chevette HS had a 2.3 in it. The Chevette that I drove, the HSR, had a 2.6-litre engine in it. So it was quite fast. Paulie Galtieri says, my father is thinking about selling his 1998 Volvo C70 convertible 2.4T manual, 27,000 from new. Well, sir, you're going to have to wait until the episode No Budget Reviews comes out, and then you can be happy. Russell Cooper says, I'm guessing favourite Mercedes. It's with a beige leather interior. I think you know the answer to that question. Matt likes prog rock. Yeah, you got there in the end. So, yeah. First Galant, second Mazda 3. 3 is the 10,000 special. 4 is the Mark 1 Granada. And number 5 would be the Daimler V8. And unfortunately, I actually drove 2 of those cars on the same day. And Mr. Charles from Grand Theft Auto says, 3 subscribers close to 10,000. Sir, I think you're going to get there before me, though, because the quality of your videos is astonishingly good, and it's about 1,000,000 times better than any Mindbot I've ever done. And on that note, thank you ever so much indeed for watching this 50th slightly less than professional live stream. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, because if both Mr. Charles and I can get to 10,000 subscribers, then we can release our specials that you're all waiting for. And like this video and leave a comment below, and we shall see you again in 2024. It's not over for the year though, because we've got probably 1 or 2 videos still to film tomorrow. So there we are. Oh, we've got more stuff here. Simone says a Reliant Robin with beige leather interior in wood. They have got one of those, a Great British Car Journey. I don't know whether I should film that or not. Mark Passad says, I was very close to making an offer for the Mazda 3 at Langley Prestige. Simon Langley Prestige would have loved that, but he eventually sold it anyway, because he always sells everything there. Although, weirdly, like, there are some cars that I've actually filmed, put a video out 2 months later, and they're still not sold. Like, the Citroen C1's still there, as far as I know. The Suzuki Baleno's still there, like, after all this time. So he's obviously not very happy about that. Kevin says, happy birthday, thank you, sir. Cecil Sai says, good stuff, thank you, sir. Happy New Year, says Mr. Charles of Grand Thrift Auto. Happy New Year, Mr. Charles. And Mark Moses says, happy birthday, sir. And John Pretty says, all the best for the new year. Best new year too, sir. Simone, you might be at 1,600, but you will get there. You just got to keep going. That's all I can say. Says, happy birthday, best new year. Thank you for hard work. Yes, we try to put in as much hard work as we can. Happy New Year to you all, and we shall see you again soon.